Welcome to the Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up Show here for our very first kickoff of Hill Country Nation 2.0. Got a big show here tonight for sure, and of course, as always, my sidekick right here, and the big gun Trey Collins in the house. Trey, what's going on, man? Dude, man, it's first week of school, and here we go.
It is a little sad week. My little girl started school. It was sad dropping her off. It was sad. But what got me through it?
Because it's kindergarten?
Yes. And here I am thinking she had a horrible day, and then all of a sudden, Dad, best day ever. I love school. I'm like, okay. Just remember that when you're in high school. Please.
We're good, man. There you go.
What got me through it was knowing, hey, last week of scrimmages this week, real games start next Friday night. Friday Night Lights, Texas, no place I'd rather be than be on the sideline or the press box with you.
There you go, press box. Hey, man, it's welcome to Hill Country Nation for first and foremost. Man, excited to have you here and, doing what we started last year. And, of course, this year being McCullough guy and everything's going to be Hill Country Nation 2.0. We got a lot of things coming up. Just let you know, and I need to reach out back to Coach Tut Wardlaw because Emma is in school now and she's going to pitch against me, but it's going to have to be towards Thanksgiving. I got to reach out to him yet and still kind of go from there. And same way with Kaylee Blackledge. She's going to be a Texas Tech Red Raider, and she wants to pitch against me. I'm like, what's everybody want to pitch against me for? Come on.
They want to pitch
for it. Just things like that we got to bring to the table. Cannot wait for that as well. But you're right, man. I mean, hey, it's right around the corner. I mean, this Friday is going to be the last scrimmage for everybody before they get started and stuff like that. But I mean, on the table right now, what have you seen so far that you're liking? I mean, we haven't put the schedule out yet for us, but just teams around the Hill Country.
Man, I mean, who we're going to talk to today is Johnson City in this District 14 two-way District 1. Be honest with you, all five teams are going to. There's 4 playoff spots, and only 5 teams in this district. The Masons won the district 14 years in a row, I do believe. But Johnson City's going to have something to say about it this year, I do believe, with their heavy-duty offensive line, senior-led offensive linemen they have this year. Stockdale, we saw them last year a couple of times. I saw them against Mason last year. They're going to be up and coming. This district's tough, and it's going to be a battle throughout the whole year. I can't wait to see this district for you as well. Also, I mean, I hate to keep it local, but that it's 5A, but that Tivy district, 3 of the teams are in the top 25 in district. I mean, that's a good – I mean, there's some good football going around the Texas Hill Country, but, man, this 14 2A Division 1 is the one I really was into when I saw the schedule come out and everything, the rankings and everything. It's going to be very good to see this year.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to the district that we're getting ready to talk to, which is Nelson Kortis of the Johnson City Eagles, like you said, Mason, Johnson City, Stockdale, Harper, Centerpoint, Junction. And when it comes down to it, the battle of the top 3 is always the big ones right there. But then, of course, playing for number 4. But all it takes is that little underdog coming and sneaking in. And next thing you know, it's mixing up that batter like cookie dough. And then you just never know if it's going to get chocolate chip or you're going to get monster cookies. It just all depends, right?
It just all depends, to be honest with you.
Well, we don't want to waste any more time because we got a big show right here tonight to start off Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up. Appreciate y'all joining us here tonight. And, of course, we want you to comment. We are not only live on Facebook, but we are live on YouTube and Twitter and also on Trey's Twitter as well. X, formerly known as Twitter and everything. But this guy right here, Nelson Kortis, has 1 year under his belt as the athletic director, head coach of the Johnson City Eagles. Hey, got him there to a place of getting them back into the playoffs and everything, keeping that streak alive. But if he has anything else to say about it for this year, well, we're going to find out because, like you said, Trey, he's got some good guys coming back, especially in a guy named Craig Jacobs, and that guy can just throw, run, play, hit. It don't matter. Just give him a ball, and he's going to do what he got to do. Welcome to the show. We got Nelson Kortis. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Hey, guys. How you doing, man? What's up?
Oh, man, just, living the dream. Here we are starting off with our first kickoff season. By the way, just to let you know, in case nobody knows, we haven't put our schedule out yet, but we do have the Johnson City Eagles taking on the Comfort Bobcats in Johnson City as our Hill Country Nation game of the week to kick off the 2023 football season.
When you call and talked about that, I think that's great for our kids. There's a lot of excitement with us and with our kids just starting this year. I mean, we probably, everybody wants to get started as quick as they possibly can, but this group especially. And so just, to start off the year like that, man, we're super appreciative.
Coach, you already had 1 year under your belt. What is different about this year from last year?
I think what's fun for me is the kids really know me. They know my personality. They kind of know, what practice is going to be like, kind of what I'm going to expect. They know when I'm going to get mad. They know what's going to make, a good practice, a bad practice. So, we've really kind of been able to ramp up some things that we do practice-wise. We've been able to ramp up some things we do offensively and defensively, even throughout the weight room. That expectation is there. They kind of know, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we expect. And they're not really feeling that out anymore, so that's what makes it fun. And it makes it really fun to come to work. We got great kids, but, just to push them every day, to be better. And that's the thing. And even with them, like you guys mentioned, some of the guys we have coming back, they'll push us as coaches, ask us questions or, hey, what can we do? Can we watch film? Can we, get on the board, and it's just a really neat part of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, Coach. You talked about, last year you had a senior-led team last year. You lost a lot of good, outstanding players, but this year you have an offensive line who's senior-heavy, pretty much, basically. Is there focus more going to be on the run game this year, or is it going to be just whatever game-by-game situation behind that senior offensive line headed into week one?
Well, we kind of, and we're going to go with what our strengths are. Like last year, we kind of got into, with Tyler Lorenz and some of those guys, we were run heavy and we had to, and that's kind of what won us football games, and we just lived with it. We obviously, I think good football establishes a run game, and then, but at the same time, we got to play to our skill set. We got a lot of skill kids. We do have a senior offensive line, but then again, last year, those guys who played, they weren't really experienced, and so then that was their year of experience. And these guys are kind of the same thing. They're coming into a year where they got a little bit of playing time, but they weren't as experienced. So it's really just the same. We went through a couple games, and I know I'm kind of doing a big recap, but we went through a couple games last year. San Saba was the first one. We had a kid, Hayden Fox, went down, and we kind of all, as a group panicked, and didn't play very well. And then, then you turn around, you're playing a Rogers team, and we lost a kid to a broken leg, we lost a kid to injury, and we come back and we were down 20-0 at halftime, and come back and win 23-20. And it was like, guys, next man up. You talk about that, but we started really believing that. So I think our kids kind of understand those guys are gone. And really, what I always preach to them is, we get this group every year. We don't get to play on the laurels of last year or we get whatever this group's going to do is what this group's going to do. Now, are we super appreciative of the guys that came before us and what they've done? Oh, absolutely. That's a foundation. But we don't get to, because Tyler Lorenz not going to come in here and run lead or whatever we're going to run. He ain't here. He ain't coming here. So who's going to step up? And that's really. These young kids understand that, and they understood it from last year because they saw those guys do it. And so then that's really what we preach and just kind of what we emphasize day in and day out as we move into the season.
That kind of brings up to the question of your leaders of this year. You already have your captains kind of already established, probably, but how important is it for them to give their motivation, their skills, their level of expertise to the guys that may not have started last year or first-time varsity this year?
Well, a thing that we started last year talking about was the idea, and I know a lot of people say it, and there's reasons why they say it. I mean, we all, and I know there's a lot of coaches out there that talk about family, and this is a family, and this is a brotherhood, but at the same time, if you look at our society, that's what's failing us is family and what that means. So we're trying to teach them what it means to be, be that family. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, this or that. But family means you take care of each other, and teammates take care of each other. So that's really, what we talked about a lot last year, and that's a lot what we talk about a lot this year, and we'll continue to always, just like those guys can come back in and they'll know that they got a place to come back in, and hang out and talk to us and talk to our kids, because, you really preach that family aspect, and you're teaching young guys that, and you're teaching your whole team that, and that's a leadership thing too. But you're really, you're really preaching that to a standpoint, because it's not the same as it used to be, 30 years ago, and people with all the stuff. I know we talked about X and Twitter and all that. I heard you talk about that, but all the social media, all the crap that goes on in this world, like, the positive, take care of each other, build each other up, don't tear each other down, don't say, all that stuff is what we got to say over and over and over again. And that comes down to that simple word, family takes care of each other, teammates take care of each other. And that's really what we try to preach every day. We break it out to those types of things, and get them to understand that it's not just a word we're saying. It's a mentality that we have.
Yeah. As I look forward to every year is a Dave Campbell's magazine. I know coaches don't like it, but I want to know, do you use it as motivation when you see you pick third in the district, or is it just something like, don't even bother about it? Something you use as motivation your guys to try to build up your team for this upcoming season?
I think you do. We'll use it as motivation as it gets closer to those games. But every year you want to, you want your kids to understand it's special to win a district championship. And we all know who it goes through in 14-2A, and that's fine. And they know that we know it goes through them, and we'll talk about it and we'll get after it. And they know that, it's going to be at our place, and it's marked on the calendar and all that good stuff. But at the same time, as you guys mentioned too earlier, we're pretty good top to bottom. I mean, Harper's good, Junction's good. Stockdale's good, and they're all good. Every team's good, so you can't just go, oh, it's this one team or whatever. I mean, winning a district championship is special, and obviously playing the playoffs, winning playoff games is special. So we always have those goals, but it is fun to it's fun to see yourself. Yeah, you're third. You're like, okay, hey, I guess we're not very good. Cool. We'll see you. We'll see you in October, and we'll see you at the end of the year, and we'll see you when district starts and all that good stuff. And we'll let it all sort out. So you do use it a little bit, but it's no different than any year. We know who it is, and we know what it's about. And it's again, you preach that old school mentality. I know some of our kids that we're around don't understand the idea that you had to win district to make the playoffs, or only one team made the playoffs. And so they talk to us like your old heads, like, oh, why is it so important? Well, back in the day, you had to win district to make the playoffs, or you had to be in the top two. It wasn't just everybody, or four got to go or whatever it is. So, that's something that we still, we talk about, a gold football, and your name goes on a gold football, and how special that is. And so, yeah, use it as motivation, and it's fun, it's fun. And our kids, they talk about it, but, at the end of the day, it's still the same. It's the same old, adage, or one game at a time. And, we take one step at a time and all that stuff. So we don't put the cart before the horse when it comes to that, but definitely on those weeks, when we start in with Harper, and then, the 13th we play Mason, we'll use some of that stuff as motivation for sure. And the end of the year will be, rally up there with Junction and then Stockdale. And, we all had tough games last year. So we hope to be a part of it this year.
Coach, you already had one scrimmage under your belt. What do you see so far that, is something that you're excited about your team after one scrimmage?
I was really impressed with our offensive line this last scrimmage. Sonora has a big front, and they're physical and they play hard. It's a great first scrimmage. It'd be a great game to play those guys. But I was really impressed with them. I mean, we got skill kids. We kind of know we got skill kids, but really establishing the line of scrimmage was something that we preached, a lot last year, and then we've preached a lot this year. But I was really impressed with them this year. We have a running back, sophomore running back that's getting in there, and he's getting good yardage. But and we expect that from our skill kids. We expect them to be skill kids. But those guys who don't get enough credit is the offensive line, and they really did well. And defense played well. We had fun. Once we kind of got going with the energy, it was a long drive, and I'll make that excuse, I guess. But it was a long drive, and we kind of we were kind of tiptoeing. I told the kids, like, we were tiptoeing in the water. We didn't do a cannonball and jump in. We can't do that. We need to just all jump in the pool, whether it's hot, cold, ice, whatever. It doesn't matter. We need to just jump in and start, take the fight to them. And that's kind of our message that we had there at the end. But I think once we kind of started having fun, started relaxing and playing football, I was really impressed with us both on the offense and the defense, especially.
Well, going to that, I know this year's been extremely difficult because it's been extremely hot this year. It's been 150 degrees for like 30 straight days. Is that something that's been hard for this, like, going to your scrimmage? Like, because I appreciate you probably do 2 days in the morning, and then when school starts, you go afternoon. Is it harder to go, like, just the heat of it for the scrimmage when it was like dog hot?
Yeah, well, we did that first week. We went in the mornings, and then that second week, we've always kind of transitioned to go to the afternoons, kind of like what our normal practices would be. So our kids were pretty, you're not used to it. I mean, it's hot. I get it, but I mean, our kids, we're pretty smart with how we practice, but we're pretty, we're also still pretty intense with how we practice, and they know. When we give them a break, it's a break, and when we don't give them a break, it's not a break. And so they kind of got tuned up for that. I felt like I felt like we've handled the heat like we have every year, and I felt like our kids have done well with that. But I think you just got to be smart, and we've done that a little bit, and they know like I said, that comes back to the expectation from last year. They kind of know, hey, we're doing this drill. Coach is just trying to make us tougher. Let's not take a break here. They know if they bust their tail and they get after it, that hey, we'll take a break, and it'll be a real break, and you'll get to take your shoulder pads off or whatever it is. And if you don't, then you won't. So it's stuff like that. So they know that expectation now, and so I've been impressed with them so far.
How the coaches been? I mean, I know you first year under your belt, and you got some great coaches there, offense, defense, helping you out, even motivational guys that'll just take a kid to the side and just beef them up a little bit, talk to him and pat him on the back, even though he may have messed up something, or whatever, just to kind of keep going. But how big has your coaches been, and like who's been the, kind of your go-to coach or coaches when it comes down to just like if you need something, they're right there for you?
Well, I only got to add one this year, and that was a guy that coached with me at Bryan, Coach Garcia. But the rest of the staff, was here with me last year. Coach Harris, Coach Kortis, Coach Eichenloff, Coach Jacobs, and Coach Russell. I mean, all those guys they care about kids, and they care about their position, and they care about their kids doing well. So there's always a time where they're over there, they're meeting with the kid on the side, or they're meeting with the kid to watch film, or they're doing something, which makes it extremely easy for me. And it's really refreshing to watch, the love that they pour into those kids when it's, hey, let me show you this route. Let me show you these things. Let me show you what you're doing. And it's one, the kids are asking that because they want to know and they want to get it right. But two, the coaches are spending the time, doing that. But at the end of the day, we have great kids and we have great coaches, and our coaches really care about our kids, and those are the things that make, special programs when, coaches care about kids and kids care about coaches, and the community supports you like they do. I mean, that makes it fun. It's some days it's hot and you want to go home, but at the end of the day, you're like, man, practice is over. Like that sucks. Like, I wish we could go an extra hour. And you're like, okay, we can. Y'all want to? And they're like, oh, no, you know what I mean? But the kids are excited about coming to practice. They're excited about being in the building. They're excited about being around our coaches, and our coaches love our kids. And man, it's not work. It's fun, and we get to enjoy it. And that's what makes this profession great. That's why, I love doing it. I love being around these kids and being in the position I am in, because, it's not work. You get to come out here and we get to go to football practice, and we get to play, in games and compete and have fun. And so it's really special.
Oh man. I'm just looking at the schedule on the bottom as it's tickering. If anyone wants to see Johnson City's schedule, it's kind of a tough non-district. Got Comfort, who's a 3A school. They're going to be better than they were last year. Thrall's always. Rogers gave you all a tough game last year for you as well. You like those non-district tough games, don't you, to get you ready for district?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I really, when I look at a game, I want it to be a toss-up. I want it to be maybe we win, maybe we lose. I want it to come down to us, how we play. I don't want it to be, a cupcake that we know we're going there and we're just going to beat the crap out of them. And, that doesn't help us get any better. I really like those games that are tough, where our kids got to play because, district is tough too. But, once you get past, the first round, the second round, it's real tough. And that's not a, that's not a slight on anybody, but it's like, you better be ready to play some real football, in our region. So you better be ready to go. And if you are fortunate enough to get past the second round, you might be fortunate enough to play for a state championship. So, that's really, those games help you prepare for that. You really get to see, one, what you are offensively, what you are defensively, but more importantly, what you're like as a team. How are you going to respond to adversity? How are you going to respond to, things that happen? And sometimes you can win games against a opponent that you're better than, and you didn't get better. You didn't improve. You just kind of won the game because you were more athletic. But I like to win those games because of execution and because, we operated in certain situations that maybe we learned from, or, that will help us in a district game, or that will help us in a playoff game. So there were some really tough games that we went through that I think at the end of the day, once we kind of got into district, really helped us, strengthen us. It was tough to lose some injuries and some things like that, to some of those games, and they were hard fought games, but, it's, football's tough. And I tell them that all the time. That's just part of it.
You got a couple of road games that are going to be tough, at Thrall, at San Saba this year. But when it comes down to it, the big games that really are important are at home. How big is going to be the fans, and also, getting those booties in the stadium and the stands and everything when it comes to the game against Rogers and Mason and Stockdale, which you have the pleasure of having them at home this year?
Yeah, those are big games. They were big games for us last year, and it's a lot of fun. You go back to the Rogers game. Our fan base traveled really well. I mean, it was an exciting game. I mean, there's people that still talk about, like I said, we were down 20-0, come back and win 23-20. I mean, it was a really neat thing. I mean, it's really neat for me because, that's your hometown. You go in there and saw a lot of people, in the stands, sideline, and they kind of know me as a person, as a competitor from playing there. And that was a lot of fun to watch our fan base, get excited about football, get excited about, what we were doing, at that point in the season. And then that carried over, again, Mason was a tough game, and then Stockdale was a tough game. So those will all be at home. So, having it at home, that's your challenge, is to get everybody, hey man, like, these are big games. But what was really cool is I think, you go back and you watch those games, and we had a lot of parents in the stands, a lot of fans in the stands, a lot of excitement last year. And so it should just build more this year because, they went to those games last year, and now, you get to have it at home. You get to be a little bit wilder, a little bit crazier, a little bit more, excited about it. So, we're excited about those home games, and also, are excited about the opportunities on some of those road games. It's tough to go in some of those places and win as well.
Man, 30 minutes goes by too fast.
Yeah, we'll keep going away. We still got a little time there.
Don't ask me. I'll talk all day long.
All day.
Hey, making our job easy. It's all I gotta say.
Like I said, man, just gonna have to go up there and get some buttermilk pie and some coffee, man. We'll be all right.
That's what I was gonna ask. I mean, I'm gonna get away from football for a little bit because we are going to Johnson City, right?
Yep.
We are.
Yep.
I want to know what is your concession stand gonna do to be the best it can be this year, to beat Comfort Bobcat Grill?
Well, what's tough for us is it'll be our first one, so we'll have some kinks that we're working out. But I think they'll definitely take care of you guys, for sure. But it's we'll have to figure out. I don't know. We won't have anything special. It's tough to beat funnel cake and all that stuff over there.
Bacon cheeseburgers and all that,
Yeah, I mean.
Fried pickles. I mean,
I'm mad because it's 2 years in a row I've missed the funnel cake at a track meet. So,
man,
they're tough to beat, but we'll definitely give them our best.
Coach, as soon as football starts coming down to the wire, I mean, it's getting ready to start. How big as supportive has Ashley been? I mean, because she's kind of been your rock right there, just and knowing when football season starts. I mean, she becomes that that wife and that mom, that's football queen now. Just talk about how important it is with family life and balancing that out with football.
Well, what's fun is I joke around that my family loves it more than I do, and I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love coaching, but I mean, they love going to the games and they love going to stuff like that. I mentioned my son. He's going to be an 8th grader. He's come to practice every day, since he was in kindergarten. So he comes to practice every single day. That's fun to have that interaction with him. My daughter, anytime she has something going on, she'll come by to practice and she'll walk right out there and stand right beside me. And she's not a distraction. She knows I'm calling plays. She knows I'm coaching. She's just standing by there, maybe holding my hand or something like that. And it's really that, it goes back to what we talked about before, the family aspect. You're showing that, you're showing that support, your own family, your own personal family is showing that support for you as a coach. And she makes it easy on me. I mean, there's times where, I just go and coach football and I'm like, I don't know, where my kids are, what's going on. I mean, I'm out here, doing this and, she's like, well, Cannon's here and Charlotte's here. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever, what do I need to do? She's like, nothing, just come home. I'm like, okay. So she really, she really gets it. I mean, this is, 19 years for us, doing football together. So, it's pretty crazy. So, the drill. I always joke back, when before we had kids and before she had, other things to worry about, she would always get mad at me, come football season, like I was going off to the, this other job or this other thing. And I'm like, why are you getting mad? It's my, it's my job, and so that was a long time ago, but now, it's 100%, she knows, how important it is to me and how important these kids are to me. And you just make those kids part of our lives and part of, the community and she's really supportive and wants us to, have the best we can. And so she wants some of our kids to be up here. She she drove Sonora. I was like, are you driving Sonora? She's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? And I'm like, well, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes for 50 plays. I wouldn't go if I didn't have to, but that's how, and my daughter's like, oh, it's fun. It's our first road trip, and of course my son rides the bus with us. So, I mean, as far as being all in and being supportive, I mean, you can't ask for better.
I want to know the one thing that gets Coach Nelson Kortis. That makes it
Kortis.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No one pronounces my last name right. I'm just saying.
I say other names.
What gets under yours? What's your biggest pet peeve?
I think my biggest pet peeve, and it's something that is time, is being on time. Like when we start practice at 4:00, we're starting. We're not like getting dressed. We're starting, and so that's one of my biggest things. And I joke around sometimes when we go, and it's hard for me because I went to a dance recital last year for my daughter, and it's supposed to start 11:30, and I sat there for 30 minutes, and I'm like, hey man, like. It's 11:30. Why is this thing not starting? And it's like, I had other stuff going on and I had to I was driving to our baseball playoff game. It was on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I was trying to do both. I was trying to be the dad and having to be at the baseball game. And I'm like, well, now I don't have enough time because you guys didn't start on time. I threw a big, got mad. And my wife's like, it's fine. This is what I was like, well, ballet should start at 11:30, like it says it's supposed to start. It shouldn't start at 12:00 because now I got to leave. So stuff like that. I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve is just being on time, and I think that's just the fear that I used to have as a kid from missing out on a tryout or missing out on something. I love my mom to death, but we would always be late, and I'd get on the worst. You know what I mean? And I'm like, Mom, like we're supposed to be here. An hour before, 30 minutes before. She's like, well, it started at 5. I was like, yeah, and we're here at 5:30, and we're on the crappiest team in the league. I'm not enjoying this, So being on time is one of my pet peeves, probably.
Okay, I know we got time for a few more questions, but last year we asked you, so I'm going to ask again this year. But it is, Have you, since last year, being the first year head coach over and athletic director at Johnson City, now do you have something that like on Thursday night or Friday at lunch is your game go-to food?
Well, I mean, I'm still kind of light on food. I've always been that way with football. You never know what your nerves are going to do or what the game's going to do. So I've always been that way for football. But I mean, places in town, El Agave, El Charro, Proof and Cooper, those are some of the places we'll go and get something to eat. Fat Boys, we kind of go to a little bit of everybody. But really on a game day, it's probably coffee and maybe some crackers or a Snickers bar, and that's it, and it's coffee all day long, and let's roll, and then we'll worry about eating when the game's over with.
What is all the people in coffee, man? Like,
I tell you, man, that's why me and hanging out with coffee. We're gonna go to all these different ones, man. Tell you,
I'm with him on Snickers, but coffee all day? No.
All day. I drink it all day if you give it to me.
It ain't that bad.
Well, do you spice it up, or is it black?
No, black. Just straight black.
Straight up, man.
Go ahead, Joe. I'm disgusted by that now.
You can have it. You drink it at 3:00. It's bad. It's great after practice.
And it doesn't even make. I mean, it could be midnight. Drink a cup of coffee. You go to sleep. You'll be all right.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Nice, Coach. What's this year's motto?
Well, what we've kind of gone to, and it's something we talked about a little bit last year, but I really kind of probably should have done a better job of doing it last year. Is we go with an acronym of Eagles, and each letter means something. So, effort is the first letter, attitude's the second letter, grit the third letter, leadership, and then excellence and standard. So those are kind of some of the pillars that we kind of talk about. And then we have a saying for each one that we kind of go through each week. Like right now, we're only on the third letter, and we're going to kind of build on each one of those. But that's kind of something that we talked about a little bit last year, and it's kind of as the foundation of what we were doing. And we've kind of really built on that, just those words, it goes back to, effort, everybody wants effort. We're not coaching that. We can't coach effort. Your attitude, you should love to come out here to practice. Grit's kind of that word, that overcoming that adversity, and obviously we know what leadership is, what excellence is, and then standard, trying to be one of those programs that people talk about, the ones that they talk about in December. And, we all know what that standard is, and what, and that's really something that we try to talk about and strive for.
Well, I will say this, being the head coach and athletic director of all sports in Johnson City, you've done a heck of a job in your first year last year with not only football, baseball, basketball, all your teams, not only on the field, off the field, but the way they represent themselves in the community. The coaches do a good job. I just want to give you a pat on the back and say excellent year in your first year last year, and only better for you from here on out.
No, I appreciate that. And like I said, our coaching staff is great, and it goes beyond – football. I mean, I think all of our coaches are kid magnets and love kids and want the best for their programs and their kids. And it's really special right now.
How, that kind of reminds me real quick is that some of the coaches out there have really gotten their athletic programs to get behind some of these other sports and other things that are going on in the school, like one-act play or even band, or when it comes to tennis or something like that. How big is that for you guys to get behind those kind of programs to kind of help you guys out down the road as well?
Well, what's really fun for us, is all our kids do everything, but like, our kids want to get out early when we know we have a home volleyball game, and they'll start asking about football practice, and it's like, I'm like, guys, we got to practice. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, coach, we want to get to the game. And so, those sports really help each other out, and it's really cool to watch, the softball girls come to a baseball game, the baseball boys go to a softball game, and then cheerleaders is probably the most underappreciated of the group because, some of them are involved in other sports too, but, it's hard to kind of really, give them, but telling those girls thank you and then how much you appreciate, what they do for you, and standing on the sidelines and supporting you is just kind of the way, just the way it is. I mean, it's really, it's really a neat thing. And the kids kind of just gravitate and do that by themselves naturally, within the school system. So it's really, it's not something we don't really have to talk about, but it is something that's really neat to watch, and sometimes we got to remind them like, hey, we got a game over here. Let's go support this team or these girls or whatever. And, we talk about that and then vice versa, with the girls, like, hey, and we've always traveled well to games, to playoff games. And, in the staff, they'll go support other programs. And when other programs see that, they want to support each other too. So it's really a fun deal right now.
2 more questions. Trey, you got the first one.
All right. Situational time. District championships on the line. You just scored a touchdown. Extra point to tie it or 2 to win for the district champion. What is
Who are we playing?
Mason?
No, we're gonna go win it.
That's right. Have a chance to dethrone them. Do it.
What was the last game of the year, Stockdale?
Same. Just depends on playoffs. I mean, it depends on that. I mean, it depends on the playoffs. It depends on the seeding and all that kind of stuff, but and it would come down to the last game of the year is a little bit different, maybe because that you're going to get into points and scenarios, and
right.
we'd be playing. But Mason, we try to punch it in for 2.
All right, Coach. Last question.
No hesitation.
No hesitation.
I like it.
There you go. Do you have? I mean, I don't want to waste my question or anything, but you got to.
Oh yeah, we'll have one.
Okay, nice. I was waiting to see if that was, that was one thing I was thinking about. It's like, because I've been watching the guy, and I'm just wondering, has he really becoming the guy that he can kick one from distance?
Oh yeah, I mean, they could if they had to, but
nice.
I'd try to go for it if we could.
Last one word.
My kids would be mad at me if I didn't. I think my kids would be mad at me if I didn't.
Yeah, they'd be like, Coach, man, it was a
yes,
48 yards. Yeah, pooch kick. Come on. Last question. One word to describe this year's Junction Eagles.
You're talking about me though, right?
Mm-hmm. One word to describe this year's Junction Eagles. And I know you've only had 1 scrimmage and practices up to this point. One word to describe the Junction Eagles this year.
I think for us, it's going to go back to the idea of family. It's just going to be that. I mean, that's what we're going to talk about, and that's what we're going to hang our hat on. That's what we're going to know that the highs and lows are going to come, and we're going to, our success is going to come on the shoulders of each other, and we know that, and we're just going to have to live that each and every day. And so I think whether the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is, that word's going to be what rings true, and that's what we're going to strive for each and every day.
Awesome. Coach, thank you for this last minute short notice and you coming on right away and said, yeah, I'm your guy. I'm there. I'll be there.
I appreciate you guys.
Well, we're looking forward to the very first game, August 25th, to kick off the Hill Country Nation Game of the Week season with the Comfort Bobcats being at the Johnson City Eagles. And Trey's looking forward to being there to maybe get some merch, but we'll see. We'll go.
Yeah, we got something for sure.
I know you do. You always do. Appreciate it. Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much again. We appreciate that. And Coach, once again, good luck in this year. And man, we're behind you and we appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Coach Kortis of the Johnson City Eagles. Trying to see if I got my music up too loud. I don't know if Trey always says that. But man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in here today. We did not get to read some of your comments. That is my fault because, we got a bunch of them here and stuff. So nice. But you can go to Hill Country Nation Facebook, on YouTube, and also on Twitter as well, or X, and of course on Trey's side as well. And you can see all the comments. We'll probably try to answer as much as we can and everything as well. But we do want to thank Jam Broadcasting for being one of our biggest supporters, because without Jam Broadcasting, Hill Country Nation Game of the Week would not be possible at all. And of course, First Insurance Agency of the Hill Country. Hey, they did save Hill Country Nation $325 a year on insurance. That is no joke at all. I mean, so when you think insurance and you want the best rates, First Insurance Agency of the Hill Country, no matter where you're from, they're going to take good care of you. All right, that's going to do it for our episode 1 here of the Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap Up. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But we ain't going to tell you just yet who we're going to have. All right, that's going to wrap it up. We appreciate you. And as always, I am out of here.